is this really why BTS became so popular? I just like, I don't understand. So I was low-key a hater. Okay, can't believe I'm saying that. Army, do not come for me.
Kind of sharks.
This looks amazing. Hi, you want to say hi to everybody? Say hi, Ty. This is my boy. My little Lhasa Apso, potentially Shih Tzu mix boy. Oh my goodness. He's such a good one, though. He's so good. Okay, so, hey, hi. How you doing? I've hesitated on making this video for a while now just because I couldn't get myself to do it. This is going to get deep. I know this is it might seem very shallow. It might seem like, okay, she's just into this like pretty boy K-pop band, whatever, but there's more to it. So let's just talk about it. Let's get into it. All right. How I fell down the BTS rabbit hole. Okay, so just a quick backstory. How it started, I have to attribute it to and just give thanks to Squid Game. If you've watched throughout the whole series, Top, who played Thanos, um, the rapper with the purple hair, really, really funny character. Actually, I thought he was so annoying while I was watching the show. I had no idea who he was, but he used to be a part of an older generation K-pop group called Big Bang. And my sister was actually the one who told me that like she was really excited and a big fan of him to see that he was on the show. So I looked him up. Look up as to why like he left the band. And I absolutely went down that rabbit hole. I just like really felt for him and just felt like it was just so unfair what he had to go through and how it's a shame because I just think he's so incredibly talented and I ended up becoming a huge fan. So it really started with Big Bang. It started with Big Bang. Ended up watching like countless hours of their performances, parodies they've done. Absolutely love the parodies. I think if I was ever having a bad day, I could turn one of those on and it just felt so much better. I do want to say I know I've missed out on many generations of K-pop. So I am not at all an expert when it comes to like talking about any of this. This is really just my experience. But like I've never been the type of person to force myself to like anything. So when I like something, it's like very genuine. Like I'm not just like jumping on the bandwagon. Beyond Big Bang, of course, I did begin taking notice of other groups. Here I am, kind of like opening up my horizons, my world to more K-pop music. And of course, I'm very aware that BTS is a very popular group. But at the time, I still just didn't understand, like, why do people like them so much? And I really only knew of them from their global hits, Dynamite and Butter. Is this really why BTS became so popular? I was low-key a hater. Okay, can't believe I'm saying that. Army, do not come for me. I'm no longer a hater. I'm the complete opposite of that now. But I used to just not get it. I didn't understand, and I'm sure I had some biases that I have since worked through, which we'll get into that in a little bit too. But I recall as you're kind of listening to some of these K-pop stations on Spotify, one of the songs that did come up a few times was Spring Day. Spring Day. I remember every time it came on, I would always like kind of in the back of my mind think to myself, is this BTS? And sometimes I would like look on Spotify and I see that it's BTS. I'm like, okay. Very different vibe from Dynamite and Butter. It didn't like kind of hit me right away, right? Like I kind of like got more exposed to the song over time. I remember another moment where I was just in the shower and Spring Day came on. And like I remember thinking like I need to hurry up and finish the shower so I can step out and look at my phone and see if it's BTS. And sure enough, it was. It was BTS. And so it just grew on me that this is a really beautiful song. Like it hits you in the feels. Like I didn't know what the song was about. I decided to look it up on YouTube. And I think in that moment, and this happened sometime last year in spring 2025, after looking up that video, it was they were performing for graduation. That's when I started falling down the rabbit hole. There was no turning back. I like couldn't believe how beautiful the song was. Seeing how these guys were interacting with each other, even while they were performing that song, seeing how like talented they are, and then watching the music video for that song and then seeing what inspired it, I've definitely felt this judgment of like, wait, didn't you just start liking them? And here you are going to Jin's concert in the summer. Which I'm like, what's the big deal? But from the outside looking in, that's so weird. It's like, how did I suddenly become such a huge fan in such a short amount of time? It's because I fell down the rabbit hole. I like suddenly was consuming a lot of content, seeing what I had missed out on, all these years, watching Run BTS episodes, catching up on their discography, which is so diverse. It's not just, like disco pop music. And then to learn about how diverse their fan base is, not even in just terms of like race and ethnicity, but also age. There are those who are much older who are also huge fans of them. Like, I think the message that BTS tries to spread in general and in their music, it just really resonates with me. It's just like, I like that their music isn't just about like love or like romance or, heartache. Like I like that it speaks on a lot of different topics, and it also speaks to a lot of their struggles, things that they've gone through. So I like that they can be so vulnerable and just like express themselves so authentically. As huge and famous as they are, they just don't seem pretentious at all. They're just themselves. Sometimes they're just very goofy and fun-loving. Other times they really just open up and share their thoughts and feelings. You can tell that they genuinely care and love for each other. So K-pop has really allowed me to just have more of an open mind. I think in the past, it probably just seemed like flashy noise to me. Like, okay, you have these really attractive looking people who are dancing very synchronized, and that was just it. And then with a lot of the guys, they're like wearing makeup, right? Like, I think I did have this bias, and I'm kind of ashamed to say it, but I'm being very open and honest with you all here. That I was just like, oh yeah, like, okay, they're probably just more like pretty boys, like, or it's just more feminine, and I'm not typically like attracted to that. Not to say that there's anything wrong with men wearing makeup. Of course not. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But if I just think about like my personal preferences of like what I find attractive, I didn't used to find that attractive. Like, I never really wanted to even date someone that was like more high maintenance. If that's not like what I would typically go for in my real life, like someone who I'd want to date, then I might have just not found these, K-pop boy groups as like attractive. But I've since squashed that notion because like it's just a different culture. They're getting made up because they are idols. This whole concept of being an idol, I think sometimes I have conflicting feelings about. As many of you know, like with idols, you do have to like look a certain way. There is this expectation, and this has spanned generations. I feel like this is like starting to change, which is amazing. I'm really glad. But I think there was always this expectation of like, you have to be really skinny, you have to be attractive. Cosmetic surgery is very, very prevalent in Korea. I always just thought like, oh, it seems very like superficial. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Like, it seemed very superficial, and I think I have always just been drawn to things or people that are more real. It's just more deep. With music and celebrities, it rarely just has gone that deep for me. And so this isn't even just like referring to K-pop idols. Like, this really is just anyone where I'm like, okay, if I like their music, cool, but I don't really need to know the artist on a deeper level. But then BTS came into the picture. Big Bang first. I'd say I was like more deeply invested in them first. So far, even after like exploring more music and other groups, I would say BTS has just had the biggest impact on me. I love how they like spread messages of self-love, of resilience, of how they used to like get so much hate, but look at where they are now. And they just share so much love with their fandom. This is another thing that really resonated with me, that they had very humble beginnings, and at the time when they were starting off and trying to debut, their agency didn't have a ton of money to kind of help them along like others did. So they really were the underdog for a while. And the way they went about kind of like building up their fan base was similar to an influencer, actually. So they would, tweet, they would create blog posts. They actually had like their own blog site, and they would create YouTube videos, and they would just connect with their fans like that. And then they would come on live, very similar to like a YouTuber and an influencer. So I think even just seeing that really, I don't know, it just made me feel some kind of way. It kind of reminded me of like what I used to do on here. And I found myself just like really wanting to root for them even more. And then to see just like how brotherly and like wholesome their love for each other is, how they kept like just trying to lift each other up, and we're really just hoping that they would succeed, that they would do well. Here's something that's really common that I've noticed a lot of ARMY, so that's the name of their fandom, that we all kind of have like this like similar moment or feeling, is that they really do like come into your life when you need it. It's like they say like, oh, BTS finds you. You don't really find them. You don't really just like come across them. Like they find you when you need them. And how they've like really helped people heal. I know it sounds a little crazy. So this is how it just got really deep for me, because I was going through a pretty rough time, I would say, the past few years. I was going through a rough time. I like couldn't like pull myself out of it. And I tried different things, and I like never gave up, but I just kept being in like this like dark, unhappy place. And it sucked. It really did. I didn't know like music could have such a huge impact on me, but BTS really has helped me on this like healing journey. I think it's hard to put it into words, but I think it's like the message that they're trying to spread of like, you need to love yourself. And things are going to be tough and challenging at times, but you got to keep moving forward anyways. And that is very much reflected in their own journey. And so I think them kind of opening up and being vulnerable and talking about their struggles and challenges and how much hate they even received, and just kind of like look at where they are now. Even though they are so famous, they've blown up. They're one of the biggest boy groups, in the world. They still deal with like these feelings of imposter syndrome, or like, why do people like us so much? They still feel really nervous and scared. They're about to release their new album after many years of being on hiatus. The rest of the members completed their military service this past summer. So like they're kind of just like coming back into it, and they seem terrified. I'm sure it's terrifying, because the pressure must be immense. So many people have been waiting for this comeback, but they just want to create something that we'll love. And you can really tell, and you can feel it. And they just will still come on live and try to stay connected with us. And I have to applaud them for that, because like I myself have been finding that really difficult to do. For those who are new here, I did used to be a YouTuber influencer more in the beauty lifestyle kind of fashion space, but then I pivoted and went to the 9 to 5. I'm a corporate girl now. Have found it really difficult to just kind of like show up here. And I've also have had feelings of like guilt around that. Just feeling like I haven't been there for you all. Kind of like struggled with that, like being a people pleaser and just wanting to just wanting to just show up and just be there for everyone. I've always just wanted to be that person. But it's hard. So, I knew this was going to be a tough one to do. When I pivoted away from this life, right, this like influencer, content creator life, I had to do it for me. But it was really hard to detach. It was hard, like, I think I wanted the best of both worlds. I always think, like, why can't it be possible? Am I just that depleted from my own job? But I think what I was, like, really... okay, I need to put myself together. What I realized was I was just lacking a lot of joy in my life. It wasn't really just that, like, this new corporate identity, my new work life was... Okay, I mean, if I'm going to be completely honest, maybe it was, like, depleting me in some ways, but it was me, right? Like, a lot of it was in here. And I was just lacking a lot of joy. And I think when K-pop came into my life, suddenly I was just experiencing so much joy that it reminded me, it's like, you know what, like, this is who I am. And I started seeing the potential of, like, who I could be again. I started seeing glimpses of, like, this is who I was. I was such a happy-go-lucky person. I always valued fun, and I still do. It's kind of weird to say, like, you know, people have, like, things that they really value. Fun has always been on that list for me. I've always valued fun. And I think for some time, it was hard for me to admit that because I felt like, oh, I'm not going to be taken seriously. All this stuff, horrible things happening out there. But I think when I started, like, feeling like I was coming back to myself, I just started feeling so happy again. I started feeling almost like invincible. Like, I can do anything. It's not even that, like, I was suddenly doing a lot less stuff. It was just that I was making it a point to incorporate more fun and joy into my life. And that energized me. So, beyond that, I would say it became glaringly obvious what I also needed to, like, remove from my life, you know? there was some level of toxicity, right? Just whether it was different people or different things that I took on, I decided, I was like, I need to remove myself. And when I started doing that, it was like a huge weight lifted off my shoulder. And it felt like I was making more room for fun again. I was making more time to just, like, be and listen to music. It didn't have to result in anything. At this point, I felt like these boys were my brothers, friends, a huge light in my life. I even had thoughts of wanting sons like them because I felt proud of them and what they stood for. This is probably peak Delulu, but those who get it, get it. If you're an ARMY, please let me know down below. Even if you're not an ARMY, if you're a part of any other fandom, let me know. I'm just going to keep reading my notes so I don't go off on a tangent, so just bear with me for a second, okay? And the fun continued. I knew J-Hope was on his solo tour and could not get enough of Killing It Girl. And then Jin, I got to see him in Tampa. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. It all felt like a dream. So how they kind of have changed my life. I just don't feel as, like, stressed or as anxious anymore. And things that kind of, like, used to trigger me or I would, like, mull over for a while, I feel like I've been so much better at managing all that and just not allowing myself to feel sad or hurt for too long. I'm human, you know, and I think I do, I don't mean to, but I think I sometimes do give off, like, this, like, tougher exterior or, like, this, like, aura of like, oh, you don't need to worry about me. I can take care of myself. I'm good. When people check in on me, when they're genuinely wondering how I'm doing, even when they ask me like about BTS, I'm like, you care about me. Okay, I know I said this earlier, but I feel like it just bears repeating because like I really do think it's fascinating. And I love this so much. It's like the fact that how the love for music and these groups are a unifier, regardless of how you look, your age, ethnic background, and then even having more of an open mind of like seeing boys who may look a little more feminine or are wearing makeup or want us all to feel accepted and like we belong. So with the guys, some of them might be like really easily scared of things. I'm thinking about Jin here. Some of them are not afraid to cry and show their emotions. And that's multiple of them, but I'm thinking about V. And I just love the blend, and I really do love how they authentically show up. Whenever J-Hope is just like outwardly laughing so loud, and he's like laughing with his whole body to the point where he's like falling down sometimes. I love that. I love it so much. I love that they are just unapologetically themselves. Why BTS over other K-pop? That's a really good question. I've just found like it's just something about who they are as people, some of their music, especially the ballads. It just really spoke to me, and I just felt like it really resonated with me. When I think of each of the guys, and especially a few of them in particular, I felt like I could see myself in them. So that's why. And then, of course, the group dynamic, like I was saying earlier, it just like brings me so much joy to see the seven of them together. And they're all so different, but it just like works so well. The seven of them together, OT7, it just. Have you watched Run BTS? Any favorite episodes? La Chimolala, Tony Montana, Carbonara. Favorite BTS songs? There are so many. I should have written a list. This is nerve-wracking, but I'm just gonna name a few at the off the top of my head. Of course, Spring Day. Spring Day will always have like such a big place in my heart. Mic Drop. That one is more EDM. It's just I really was loving Boy with Love for a while. So if you're kind of like, I kind of want to name some. If you really only know Dynamite and Butter, and you haven't heard Boy with Love, that's a really fun one. They also collaborated with Halsey on that one. But there really are so many that I like. Pied Piper. Oh gosh. Your Eyes Tell. Any other favorite K-pop groups? I was definitely hooked on ENHYPEN and some of their songs. It didn't really fall as deep down the rabbit hole with them, but I just really, like, I love their music. I was playing Moonstruck, Given Taken. I was playing some of their songs, like, nonstop for a while. Some of the girl groups that I like. I also like IVE, Meow. There's so many. All right, the number one question that I have been getting is who is my bias? JK. Jungkook. He's my bias. I would say that Jin is probably my bias wrecker. But I like them all. I really do. I really do. Like, if I think back to that La Chimolala Run BTS episode, like, Yoongi, Suga, I just really like him. Like, he kind of has this, like, it might look like he has, like, this, like, cool-hearted exterior, but when he has those moments where he's just, like, a complete goofball and he's, like, smiling really bright, those moments give me life. And you see him kind of, like, just dance all excitedly in that episode, and it's just the best. I think we're gonna call it quits here. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.